The reason we only stock D'Addario strings is because D'Addario strings are perfect.
When people come in here, they think that we get them for free or something like that, but we don't. We have no other reason except for dependability and tone.
Hey y'all, like and subscribe and you won't miss any of this great content coming your way. Now, back to the rundown.
Let's do it.
Hey everybody, I'm John Bohlinger with Premier Guitar. We are at Soundstage in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm with Sol Littlefield. Hey, Sol, man,
What's
so
up,
good
buddy?
to see you.
Good to see you, man, likewise.
So congratulations, this is your third nomination for ACM Player of the Year, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
God, that is killer, man. And you're such a young guy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And third time in, that's fantastic.
Oh, man, thanks. Yeah, it's super cool.
So,
great company.
tell me about this guitar.
Oh, man, yeah, this, I think it's a 67 335. Got it from Carter's, just walked in, I was looking for one. It was kind of like an end of year tax situation.
Yeah,
and
gotta buy some gear.
Right, exactly, and I loved it. It was fantastic, and honestly, I was saying to you earlier, it's like I never really like loved it. It sort of lived in my vault for a while, and it did the thing. I'd bring it out and use it for certain stuff, but it wasn't like a go-to. And the other day I was just like, man, I need to sell this thing. It's not like the perfect guitar, but I'll give it a chance. And I brought it home and I just tweaked on it a little bit and just fine-tuned it, and now it's perfect.
Oh,
and now I don't ever want to get rid of it.
Okay, so when you're tweaking it, what do you do? I mean, because I think being a guitar player is almost like owning a Harley. You have to know how to tweak them a little bit.
Right.
But I'm a terrible luthier, and sometimes I kind of work my way out of it more than into it. What do you do when you're doing your personal tweaks before you bring it to a pro?
It's everything except for like fretwork or like wood repair.
Yeah.
Anything that involves glue, I don't do. But anything that's already on the guitar, anything that's an adjustment screw, truss rod, it's like I'll start with there, and it's just fine adjustments, and same with saddle height, and I figured out just ways to get these things to stop rattling. From a lot of the time from bringing stuff to luthiers, and I'll just like hang out and bug them and kind of look over their shoulder and be like, what are you doing there? And they'll show me some tip of being like, oh, you can bend these wires back into place and it'll press against the saddles and you get rid of that rattle. And I'm just like, okay, good to know. Now I don't have to like drive back here next time, and just little stuff like that. I think with this one I tried a couple Bigsby screws. Like I Amazoned a set of like different tension of the springs rather, and I went back to the one that I had on there just because I liked it. But I'll just
that Bigsby feels so buttery, man.
Yeah, it's one of the, I think this is the low, it's the classic tension, whatever they call it. It's like the smooth tension. I forget the name of it, but it's like the vintage, whatever that one is. You may know, but it's But yeah, and man, weather is the biggest thing. I'm sure you know. It's just the season going into winter and then out of winter is always the worst. It's like you go in and you've got all the ways, the neck is just going to be bowed forward.
Right.
And I'll make it a habit now where I'll just sit multiple times around November, December, tweak on everything, get it back right, and then when it starts warming up again and we go into spring, it all comes back and you get the like, and you have to loosen it all up again, and sometimes that's just what it is. It's like I always encourage everyone to do that. Just like if you really hate a guitar, like give it some time, you know.
Right.
Like,
do you ever find when you're on the job that's when you discover it's like out of whack?
oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah, I'll always carry one of those little Ernie Ball toolkits and just, you know, just I'll have enough time to just like, you know, tweak on something in between songs if I need to. Like,
Yeah.
it's fun. I enjoy it. You know, it's like in my sort of middle age now. It's like that's what I do for fun in the evenings. Is I bring guitars home and I'll just sit there and put on a YouTube video and just start to. That's my favorite thing to do in the world, man. I love it.
Yeah, and you know, just kind of it gives you an opportunity to really like listen and feel. Yeah,
for
I get
sure.
it. Very cool. Okay, so that
thanks.
is an excellent start. What else? Okay, Chris Keys is talking to me, saying, talk about like what's your favorite go-to studio guitar? What is the one you start with when you like a comfort zone area?
Man, honestly, like if I'm getting sounds, and particularly if I'm on a tracking date with another player like Rob today, I'll go for this SG, and the reason for that is because it's kind of it's a little bit of an awkward guitar. It's not like, it doesn't sustain a lot. I mean, they're kind of not typically known for that one, but I feel like this one, especially with this old fixed up, someone someone fixed this up and like made it to where it doesn't move, which is good, but it's still kind of got this rattly thing about it, and to me it's not a very like super comfortable guitar, and that's going to push me in a more creative direction. That's going to force me to not play like a good guitar player. I'm gonna think more like, okay, I'm gonna be dumb rhythm guy like right from the get-go, and you know, I'm always gonna just play open chords when I'm getting sounds. You know, if a engineer is just wanting stuff to start with, you know, it's like I'm just gonna go, you know, root 1. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So is this a 61, 62?
It's a 62. Yeah.
Wow. How cool. In that blue, man. Wow.
Not original.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone did a great job on this. Yeah, this was hanging on the wall in Guitar Center in Nashville, over in Berry Hill.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a good price. They had it listed as like, it's been butchered to some degree, I know that much, but I kind of like, I've looked at it under the light and I can see that there's maybe some repairs and stuff happened to it, but whoever did this finish on it is like, it's wonderful. I mean, like,
great.
it's so good. It's really tastefully done, like the reliking on it. And you can see there's still some of the red. Yeah, you can see the original red on right. That's the giveaway right there under the horn, and they had it listed as non-original pickups, but when I took it apart and looked, they're patent number humbuckers.
Really?
So they're original.
That would be right.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, automatically I think I did good on this, and I just wanted an SG, and I love the color. You know, like I've always wanted one. I always thought these were so cool.
Oh, great.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah, it's like raunchy, you know, like.
Isn't that something? That's the second year they made them, and they like got it right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like like the Les Paul, it took a while to kind of dial that one in.
Sure.
But the SG out of the gate was like that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's a fun one, man.
It's interesting though that you
guitar.
go for the guitar that's hard to play.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that on a demo session.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if we got to just get straight to it and just start knocking out songs and getting passes, and just you got to be in tune right away. Like, as this thing is like, it'll move around a little bit. It's not totally like a Tele where it's foolproof and you can just bang on it and just knock out a rhythm pass, cool, here you go, give me another track.
Right.
You know, it's like you got to finesse it a little bit and play a little lighter, and which is like that's one of the real reasons why it's great for. Yeah, I'll play so much different if there's a second guitar player on a session.
Sure.
You got some, you know, like Rob, who's amazing. You know, it's like I'm gonna play as light as possible and try to keep my touch light because I'm trying to occupy as even less like real estate sonically, like as usual. And this always forces me to do that because it's kind of it doesn't intonate great up. You know, if you're heavy-handed with it, like I would never play this live. You know, it wouldn't make sense. Like it would like I could have set it pretty good, but these saddles will move around a lot. I feel like I'm always having to pull the screwdriver out. Like, yeah, right now it's okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I love this thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent choice. What next? What flavor are we going to next?
Man, this is probably my most recent guitar purchase. Is this Gretsch, this Tennessean?
Oh yeah.
And these are pretty common. You see these around all over the place.
Yeah.
But they're normally like dogged. Like these things had a habit of the binding always came off of them.
They
and
kind of disintegrate, a lot of them.
they did, and then you see the ones where like, you know, you have to pay a good chunk more to either have the work done, or you find these ones that someone's glued up and they're all cracked and you can kind of see where they've hacked them back together. This I found on Reverb for just a ridiculous low price.
What year is this guitar?
This is 66.
Huh. Cool.
Yeah, and I always wanted one. I've owned one that I got, and it wasn't right. I always loved how they sounded. The pickups were always amazing, but they just were never quite usable enough in a recording situation where it was just sort of like, I can't really like, it's just not there. You know, the playability and just, you know, they were never right, and I'd always find them, and they'd always be overpriced when they'd be like in music stores.
Sure.
Because I'd pick them up, and I know immediately. I'm like, this needs. I can kind of eyeball that stuff pretty good nowadays. I can be like, okay, that needs $750 worth of work, or that needs $1,500 worth of work, and I'm usually right. Like it's somewhere in that ballpark. It's just like, as you know, it's we know those things from years of taking shit
buying
to get
dogs,
fixed.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this one, it came up on Reverb for a really great price, and I just sort of saw the pictures, and I was like, I think that looks like a good one. And
Boy, that's a real gamble, right?
yeah, but for the price, it kind of wasn't. Because even if this thing like shows up and it's horrible, it's still I can definitely flip it and get my money back. You know, but it came out of the case like this, like tuned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like perfect. Someone had even gone through the trouble of they got rid of those little skinny little frets and put I think they're medium jumbos, which is what they basically, whoever had this guitar did exactly what I would have done.
Wow.
And it was flawless. This is one of the best scores I've ever gotten.
Oh, that's
and it's
great.
wonderful. I mean, it's like, it just, you know, I love this thing. Like, yeah, I mean, it's
dreamy.
and it's actually, and it's like, it's usable up and down the neck. You know, this chord always sucks, you know, and that's pretty good, you know.
Yeah, it's all
Even like, you know what I mean? It's like that's a tough ask for a Gretsch, especially one of these. You know, like these are just notoriously, you know, bad. But yeah, it's I mean, it's... Yeah, it's just great, isn't it? Like, and it's just, I think the people think sometimes that the Gretsch thing is just sort of, like it does that one thing, but it'll rock. Yeah, pretty good.
That's great.
Love it.
Yeah, that's great. It's so cool, man. When you, like every guitar that I've heard you play, you kind of, it takes you in a different place.
Right.
Like Sol on a Telecaster is really one thing.
Right.
and this version of you is a very different thing. That's great, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of it's memories. It's just, I feel something in the hands and I'm like, oh, it reminds me of a happy time in my life from around about when I bought the guitar. I think it's like everyone has that, I think like subconsciously you sort of, you have those thoughts and those emotions that come through when you pick up a piece of wood and some people say that it'll transfer from owner to owner. It's like you pick up a guitar that like someone that had a lot of pain owned for years and you'll be like, man, there's songs in this guitar, or there's like, and that's like,
that's a thing.
Could be a thing, there's some truth to that.
That is a thing, yeah. Well, that one's had a happy life.
This one's like the Labrador.
Got
pampered and like slept on the bed its whole life.
Comes up, licks your hand, that is your friend for life. Okay, that's
totally.
Great. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Oh man, I think another cool one.
These are all cool.
Yeah.
These are all cool guitars.
Oh, thank you. It's it's my life's work. I've always loved to buy and trade, and this one's got a great story too. Another reverb purchase. I was working with Dan Huff, and he brought in this Jazzmaster that he'd just gotten. Someone he was working with gave to him, and he was like, I think it was a 1960, and we were all passing it around and just kind of oogling at it, just being like, wow, this thing's awesome. And I played it, and it was just incredible. And I was like, man, I've never owned one of these, even though I'm a huge fan of the sound and the players. Like the whole thing, and like the indie rock thing, and I always loved hearing them, and I never owned one, like not even a cheap one. I don't think I've ever had for definitely not for more than a few months, like. And I always wanted one. And that night I got on Reverb and I started searching, and I found this 59, and it was like a good price. I could tell it wasn't a player who owned it because all the pictures, it was like dusty and had strings missing. Yeah. And I could tell, I was like, okay, this is kind of this isn't like a dealer. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not another player, it's not a dealer. Yeah. And I messaged the guy and I was like, hey, what's your situation? I see you're up in Indianapolis. This was kind of before they kind of like started like really clamping down on people doing this, where I was like, hey, just message me outside of the website and let's talk. It was like a Friday. Sure. And he hit me up and he was like, well, this was my dad's guitar. He was like, I'm just trying to get rid of it. He's like, I know what it's worth. He wasn't stupid, He was like, I just want to get something for it. And I was like, hey, what would you do if I got in the car tomorrow, I've got the weekend off, if I drove up to Indy on a Saturday and bought it from you cash? And he gave me he was like $5,000. And I was like, amazing.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. And he had it listed. He was like, yeah, it's refinished. He said the body's refinished, the neck's refinished. He said a bunch of other stuff.
I like the A tuner there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's got the one little mummy toe. Yeah.
That's great.
So I get up there and I meet this guy, and he's super cool. He's telling me all these stories about his dad and how his dad had this guitar, and he just would sit in the garage and smoke cigars and just play, and just he played in like one local band, just jammed, and was just kind of a hobbyist, and you know, eventually he was like, okay, you know, let's do the deal. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I've got the cash and everything. I you know, put it in the car, and he's like, oh man, I almost forgot. Let me get you the amp that it came with.
Oh,
and I'm like, what?
Wow.
And it's, yeah, and it's a Mint 65 Pro Reverb.
Oh my God.
He bought them both from a guitar store in 1965.
Oh God.
And I'm just like,
perfect.
man, that's perfect. And he liked my story. I think he liked me. He was very direct about, like, he was like, I kind of wanted this to go to a player. You seem like you kind of know what you're doing. And like, he's like, I own a bunch of properties. I'm not trying to like get a bunch of money. He's like, I've had people make offers on this, but I thought I'd rather. I'm just like, that's kind of, it's one of those fairy tale stories.
Oh, that's
anyway,
great.
I get it home, and I start opening it up and tweaking on it, and the body's not a refin, it's original finish. The neck's been oversprayed, and I think the logo's newer at some point, which I feel is common, but everything else on it was like dead original. And yeah, it was.
That is great. How about the case? Did it have a...
It did. It had the original, the blonde, the one with the orange in it, all smell like cigarettes. It's perfect.
Couldn't have to a better guy.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh man.
So how much tweaking did it take to get it right?
Man, a good bit. I took this to a luthier because, like I said, I never owned a Jazzmaster before, so I was like, I gotta have.
It's a weird beast. Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even learn how all the switching and everything worked until
I'm still
way
not
into
sure.
it. Yeah, it's like that's just one thing, and then that's another thing. You know. But so I took it to a couple people. They kind of fixed some of the little buzzing and stuff. I was like, man, I really want to be able to play this thing and not have to put like a mastery bridge or something on it. I'd love to be able to just keep it like a museum piece looking Fender and not have it be chopped up. Like, not that I don't mind chopped up guitars, but this one I was like, just like, there's something special about this. I'd love to be able to keep it original. If there's anything that you can do to stop these saddles from rattling. And my guy Wade Kofer, who's genius with that stuff, he like glued the saddles and put some resin in there to kind of secure the little screws.
Really?
And
wow.
Yeah, just so it doesn't move around. You don't get that like buzzy thing happening.
Sure.
And then so it was always great. It sort of was in and out of rotation for a little while, and I always just loved it. Every time I see it, I'm just like, man, that's so cool. Like, what a cool story. And
so cool.
Everyone who plays it loves it. And I had it on the session the other day, and Tom Bukovac was looking at it, and he was like, man, he's like, you got to get those pickups higher. I'm like, yeah? And he was like, yeah. He's like, you got to get them like way up there. Like, they've got to be like on the string. He's like, they don't sound right if they're not like right up there.
Really?
And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I mean, I've heard that. I kind of got them as high as I thought I could get them. And he's like, no, man. He's like, you got to get like foam and like you got to get something underneath there. And I was like, well, all right, like lunch break.
Yeah.
I took the strings off. I found some dual lock that I had in my case.
In the studio.
Yeah, just in the studio. Yeah, because these come out just, they lift straight out. You don't have to take the pick guard off or anything. That's what's kind of cool about them. And I just jammed some Velcro under there and got them up to, it's like they're pretty close. I think Tom would probably say, be like, no, man, you got to get them up.
I said up, man.
But I think I appeased him on that. Like, I think he was like, yeah, that's good.
So did you hear a marked
massive difference?
Oh,
he was completely right. Like, it just came alive. Like a good one of these, I've always felt like should kind of feel and sound a lot like a Tele, I love these too. You can just, you can't do that with a Bigsby because it'll break, Yeah. I saw, dude.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, done it.
I watched that like 3 days ago. That Jack White video. That was so funny.
Yeah.
I love that he was
painful
cool.
memory. Yeah.
I love that he was so cool about it.
Yeah, what a great dude.
That could have really not been fun.
So, man,
That's exactly what I would have done too. The first thing, because you're just like, oh, Jack White, cool, like dive bomb.
Oh God, yeah, he's such an aggressive player. I'm just shocked. But speaking of aggressive, man, I'm amazed that you can dig in that hard on that guitar, because usually they don't hold up.
They don't, yeah, they don't
But
hold
you played
tune.
like a punk rocker, man. I love it.
Right, and it took a long time. This went for like, I was 10s, 11s, back to 10s, back to 11s, back to 10s.
Where are you now?
These are currently 10s, I think. They are, yeah.
Hey, what strings do you usually use?
I think these are 11s. I think. Yep, they are.
Huh.
Maybe that's where I settled on. Maybe it was.
Whatever it is, man, it's dialed in.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's hard to put that kind of aggression into your right hand with that guitar. God, it sounds great.
Yeah, it's more fun if you can lay into it. You know?
Right. Well, I mean, and you've kind of got this like. It's funny because you're a really in-demand country session player doing Luke Combs right now, right?
Yeah, that's what we're
and
here for this week.
You've been on every one of his records, right?
Yes, in some capacity, yeah.
God, that's great. Yeah, beer never broke my heart, man. Okay, off subject just for a second. What guitar did you play on that?
That was a Partscaster Tele on one side, and then the other side was a Revelator Strat.
Wow.
Bridge pickup on both. Yep, that was pretty much it. Yeah, that was
massive sound.
None of us had any idea that was going to be like a big song. You know, it was just sort of
huge, huge.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, well, very cool. Let's see. Let's keep this party going.
Yeah,
Show me
absolutely.
another one.
Yeah, where are we at now?
We got a couple Fenders left.
Oh yeah.
The first Fender.
I'm gonna save the least fun one for last, just because it's kind of more utilitarian. But this one's awesome.
So these are all fun.
Oh man, thanks.
Okay, tell me about this thing.
You would appreciate this. It's a hybrid 63-64 Strat.
Oh, cool.
And I sort of sourced all the parts for it over time.
Oh, really? Just built in one piece at a time?
Yeah, well, it was half and half. I got the neck and the pickups. The bridge isn't original. That's a Duncan Antiquity, which I love anyway. Yeah. But yeah, the neck and like a lot of the hardware and stuff, they were part of like a Partscaster that I bought off a buddy of mine. That I always loved it, and I just always bugged him. I was like, hey man, you ready to sell that thing? Like, you ready to? And then finally he was like, yeah, you can have it. And it kind of like had various forms over the years. It was pink at one point, had like an MJT body, had a road-worn body at one point. And then on Facebook a few months ago, I found a guy up north selling a original 63 body. So the neck's 64 and everything else was from a 64. And he had this weird refin. It's like a dark chocolatey sunburst. It's like a sunburst where they forgot to add the red and the yellow.
Yeah.
It's like it's cool, and it's an old he said factory sunburst, which could mean anything, you know, right. But the dates checked out. The guy was super cool. I talked to him over the phone, and he didn't want a whole lot for it, and I was just like, man, this would be cool. It's not the exact year, but I think it'll round out this guitar nicely, and I finally got to put it all together and spent a little time with it, and it's great. You know, this thing's kind of dogged a little bit, and someone put a Floyd Rose on at some point,
nice.
So that's all been...
Yeah, there we go. Well, you know it's been played, man.
Yeah, it's all been resined up, and holes have been filled and all sorts. I think the neck's been planed at some point. It seems like a little flatter than a regular, like, 60s, but it does the thing. stays in tune decently.
Oh yeah. What picks do you use?
Man, I gravitate towards these, the green Dunlop, the 88s. I keep an assortment around.
Sure.
Acoustic, I like the more, I guess not the nylon, the smoother, whatever they're called, the like the thinner. And then it just kind of depends, you know. These are just like my go-to. Like if I'm playing live, I'll use these green ones all the time. But like variation's nice. It's kind of cool to.
Yeah, well that Strat, it sounds killer, man.
Dude, that's a fun one.
That's great. All right, what's next? Looks like you got one more in here.
Yeah, bunch more stuff out in the vault, but this is this is all what we brought in. This is just a parts telly. I've had so many Bender tellies over the years.
Is it always a Glaser Bender, or
it's always been a Glaser Bender. I've never owned.
They're so perfect.
Yeah, they're wonderful, and yeah, I've never owned another one. I think it's just whenever they've come up for trade or for sale, I've always picked them up because they're just wonderful, and you know, Joe's the man.
Oh yeah, he is.
This is, I think it's MJT body. This is another one where it's a buddy of mine had this guitar, and I sort of always put the bug in his ear. I'm like, man, I really love that telly. If you ever get rid of it, just let me know.
Did it have the Bender on it?
It did, yeah. He had it put in, and it's really awesome. I don't know what the neck. I think it might just be like a road-worn neck, which I love. I try to pick those up whenever I can because they're killer necks. Great utilitarian Telecaster that just does the thing.
Right.
And I know you're a big fan of these. I can't really hear what's going on in Tone World right now because we got this.
Amps in the other room.
Amps in the other room.
Trust me, it sounds fabulous.
Oh, that's a little bit better. I had the compressor set weird. Yeah. You helped Joe like develop some of the Bender guitars, right?
Oh no, I've just been I mean, I've known Joe forever and been a lifelong fan. But,
that Les Paul, the Music City.
Yeah, it's Sol, it's really interesting when you're still in the UK, and I heard some of your YouTube videos, and it's just so great. And like some of my favorite country guitar players are from the UK, Ray Flack and Albert Lee.
Yeah.
And how did you get into that whole kind of telly country thing? Because you play it so, I mean, you do everything.
Man, thanks.
But that's a thing in your toolbox. It is so great. How did you like go down that road?
I think it was, the reason it appealed to me is because I wasn't exposed to it until like late on. Like country wasn't really that much of a thing in the UK.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of country CDs available at the record store. You could get Johnny Cash Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
But you couldn't get like an Alan Jackson record. You'd have to order it in. And there wasn't really a lot of airplay.
Yeah.
Even though the BBC had some great shows, I found some great music growing up as a kid. I was really fortunate in that regard with Bob Harris and Zane Lowe and these great radio DJs. But the country thing hadn't taken off, and it was local guitar players that I heard that I'd hear them like do some chicken picking stuff as part of a cover show, or they'd a local guy would do like a version of Country Boy. Wow. And I was like, what's that? I was like, this is awesome, and then I'd bug them about it, and they'd be like, Albert Lee, Brent Mason, Ray Flack, you know, like these are just the names that you gotta like. So,
yeah.
and that just sort of, that's when I sort of met up with everyone else on this side of the pond, and was sort of, hey guys, I'm here, like, okay, like I got this record, and they're like, okay, cool, like, you know, that's it right there. It's like that's the CD collection that you need in order to, you know, I had Don't Rock the Jukebox. I learned every lick off of that.
Oh,
just
yeah,
great album, you know.
So great.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of it really, and I liked the novelty of it. And locally, I was kind of one of the only guys that did it, and people kind of thought it was dumb because they thought country was just not cool, you know. And now it's like the coolest thing ever in England. People love it, like.
Right.
People like, you know, like Luke Combs that goes sells out stadiums there, and it's crazy. It's really funny how that's kind of come full circle. But I always thought the Tele players were just the coolest.
Oh yeah, and in the studio, man, as far as like a just get it done tool.
Oh yeah.
Hard to beat a Telecaster.
Oh yeah, it's that's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's like on a demo, it's like, of course I'm gonna go here first, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, that's just what you want chords to sound like. It's like, I feel like I'm, you know, it's like I'm in the studio, it's like I'm always just trying to be like Rob. You know what I mean? Because that's like the perfect mix of like Keith Richards.
Right.
With Brent Mason.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Like with like Julian Lage and some of those more finessed kind of things, jazzy things happening as well. But I think like it's like if you can find that balance between, I mean, you can pick any two. You can pick like Jimmy Bryant and you know, like Russell Lissack from Block Party, or Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, or you know, or Albert Lee, or any of these guys. It's just like if you can get it somewhere in the middle between any of those, it's like you kind of. You got it all covered, and just, yeah, I mean, Tellies are just always going to be cool, you know? Yeah, I mean, there's nothing cooler than that, you know?
Yeah, okay, that's great. Oh, well, let's dig into a couple of things, the other things in the vault.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about this thing.
Man, another reverb score. It was.
You are a gambler. Good for you.
Oh man, I've taken so many risks on that side, and I've always come up pretty good.
Yeah. I've only had a few things that I've bought without, you know, bought like that have been not, you know, good.
Right. Do you ever like get like really burned, or was it more just disappointment?
Just like I mean, you know, not a great deal.
Sure.
But you know, you sell it and move on, and
that's
you know.
Exactly.
So this one, Reverb, what is it?
It's an all original 63.
Wow.
And it was listed at a really low price. It was like insanely low for what it was supposed to be. So I just.
Isn't it amazing there are bargains out there?
There are, yeah. It's still, you know, it's just the right place, right time.
Yeah.
I was looking for one of these. I've had a couple of the one pickup juniors that were great. Always wanted the special. Already listed at a low price, so of course I go in and I lowball even more on the offer, because I'm just like, well,
as you do.
If you take this, you would surely entertain the and dude accepted, and I get this guitar for basically less than half of probably what it should have been. Great. And it's amazing. And then it's another one where it showed up. I did get it refretted. Wade Cofer did the refrets on it because they were just kind of skinny and low, and it was fine, it was playable, but I wanted it to be really awesome, so I had him do the, I just told him, I was like, whatever it is that I normally like, I forget, I think medium jumbo. This lives either, this one remarkably will handle like up and down tunings.
Really?
Yeah.
So right now you're in E flat.
E flat.
And that's interesting with the set bridge, and it's
pretty
forgiving.
And the thin neck, it's like it shouldn't work. It's
a little counterintuitive.
And yeah, I mean SGs are normally kind of a struggle at best, but this.
Yeah, right. Isn't it the irony? You know, SG stands for solid guitar, and it's the least solid, that Gibson's ever made.
But this I'll show up to a session date and I'll pull this out of the vault, and sometimes it'll be an F standard, sometimes it's D standard, sometimes it's E flat. This is my go-to for
It's a surprise every time you pick it up. Wow.
Exactly, yeah, and it's great for, you know, D standard, you know, because you can play out of C if it's a B flat song, or do the low drop tune C thing, or or up to F to do anything sort of country or rock and roll without having to play at the first fret the whole time. It's just not fun, you know. And it hurts the hands after a couple takes.
Oh yeah. It never and you know, this open chord just sounds.
Yeah, right. And that's kind of that's the deal with this thing is like, it's Pete Townsend, you know. Might be time for a little setup on this. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's just about there. Maybe I'll work on that one next, but.
Well, and I mean, okay, so say you're that's in standard and you have to quickly drop it down or up. Does it take a little while to adjust, or do you keep it down? I guess you never really know. Until
Well,
you get the song.
you never know, and I've kind of got this whole thing down to an art, like.
So,
It's almost in, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, and you'll hear a lot of me doing this
right.
on the talk back in between takes. There's just a lot of that. Just, you know, stretch it in, get it.
Well, everything you play is so under the microscope. That's it. You've got to like find those little, you know, the tuning is just such a huge part of it.
Almost.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I mean,
ideally, you'd want 5 minutes to really sit with it and kind of figure it out, but.
which you don't always get.
Right. Yeah. Especially on demos for sure. It's like that's why I have a whole different set of stuff that I bring for demo sessions that's more set up for that purpose of being able to go back and forth.
Down and dirty,
Like,
get it done.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And you've got, okay, so we're in Nashville now, but down in Alabama, you've got your own studio, right?
Yes, I do.
And so you've got a whole different rig down there.
I do. It's that's been a work in progress.
Yeah.
I got the B room at the NuttHouse down there, which is a famous studio down in Sheffield. I spend all my weekends down there, and I moved some of my other vintage guitars down there because it used to be a bank, so it's like an ultra secure building. It's like it's tornado proof, it's theft proof, it's everything. I mean, it's
So you just put your old 50s telly in the vault.
got the 50s telly in the vault, and I can still play it. You know, it's great.
Oh, that's great.
Got some other stuff down there. I got old Mustang. A bunch of my older basses are down there.
Okay, speaking of that, you recently produced this friend of mine, an independent artist, Shelby Lowe, and he's got a single out right now, and I've been doing live gigs with him, and I was listening to it, it sounded great, and I'm like, and I saw you not only produce it, but you played bass and guitar.
And drums.
And drums.
Yeah,
You did it.
yeah.
You did the whole thing.
Pretty much the whole thing. I had Eddie Dunlap played steel.
Oh yeah. Eddie's so great.
Yeah,
man.
he's the guy for that for sure.
So how do you track like that? Do you track guitar first to a loop, or to like just a metronome, and then come back and layer?
yeah,
Does it start with guitar, or how do you do it?
I think in that instance it would have started with a scratch acoustic, then a scratch vocal, then probably a scratch electric that may have made it towards the end. Drum track happens somewhere in the middle. I kind of got the system figured out when I'm playing everything. It's just like I really know how everything's gonna groove. I'm never really second guessing. Like I'm not having to go replay a bass or something because it doesn't feel right in context of everything, because I hear the finished product in my head, so I'm able to kind of get there pretty
so cool,
pretty
'cause
quickly. Like
this song right now that I'm talking about, Night Me.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has some. I mean, it has just these complex bandy things. I'm just amazed you were able to do that all by yourself.
That's from years of doing this.
Yeah, right.
Of coming up with cool stuff with with Janae and Scotty Sanders and fiddle and steel players and where we're all sitting around and we're just like, hey, like what about like let's do something cool on verse 2 and let's double up on a solo or something, and it sort of does become second nature like that. It's like same as like playing downtown and people who really know where the fills fall in certain songs without having to communicate it beforehand. It sort of becomes that whole thing, and it's fun reproducing that myself, like because we went for a straight 90s thing on that production style. Like when I was like I'm gonna play drums, I'm gonna try to play like Lonnie Wilson on this and play like really like just in the pocket down the middle like on drums. And what a lot of people don't realize is like a lot of that like 90s stuff, it's like they would spend a day on a song. So it's like it wasn't necessarily as live as you might think, because they would, those guys would be like, yeah, we'd spend half a day on just a drum and bass track, and everyone else would sit around and we wouldn't even get to guitar overdubs until sometimes like the second day. Wow. Because they would really get inside and figure out some of those licks and stuff, because at the time that was like so fresh and it wasn't the regular thing. Now I feel like it's second nature to all of us because it's so many of those records exist and we all learn from them. But like those guys were inventing that.
They were, because before that, I mean, like, the Haggard stuff really was just a Haggard, Whalen, that older stuff is just a bunch of guys in a very small room just blowing down live.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it probably wasn't until like people started analyzing board tapes and live recordings where they started hearing like, okay, we've got a band that has been on the road now for 20 years and we're hearing them. Now they're figuring out where to place these licks, and they're having fun because they're doubling up on stuff that may not have been on the record. It's like you hear those 70s records and it's like there's horns and synths and stuff where it doesn't make any sense. Like people say that country's like gone like weird, and it's be like, oh, what's like synth and all this stuff doing on these records? You just be like, they've always been weird. Oh yeah. You listen to those records and you're just like, none of that makes sense. Like the sitar on was it Country Boy Can't Survive?
Oh God,
like it's just like, who came up with that? Whose idea was that? You know, like it's cool, it's awesome, but it's like, that's funny.
Yeah, that's great.
But I think the 90s is when they sort of started finessing those kind of crazy, like coked up ideas and mixing it with like the pop production with because you got the Celine Dion's and the Whitney Houstons and these big thematic pop productions, and they were sort of like, okay, we've got to compete with this a little bit because and obviously Mutt Lange was a huge part of that.
And when it all went digital, things really did change. Right. You had endless tracks. Yeah. And you didn't have to worry about tape.
That's exactly it.
It did change the whole game. Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, well, I love that guitar. What else do we have in this pile?
Man, we got this 71 Les Paul Black Beauty. This was another end of year tax kind of situation. Always wanted one of these. Rob's got a cooler one. He's got like a 68. I always loved his. And I wanted this. So this was way more affordable. Sure. Because the 70s, the Norlin era, but this was the beginning. Do you feel that it's like not heavy? It doesn't have that.
Because God, usually these are so heavy.
Yeah, they're like insane, right? Like.
Yeah. So it doesn't look like the pancake body.
No, I don't think it is. I think it might be two-piece. I think it is. You can just about see the two-piece, but it's not the 3.
Yeah,
And I went into Carter, and there was 3 of these. They were all 71 or 70. I think there was a 72 in there, and there were 3, and they were all the same owner, and they were on consignment. So really? I had the luxury of being able to play each one for an hour or so, and really sit down. And I picked out. This was the pick of the bunch, and I got it. And I don't know.
Were the frets those same smallish frets?
These were, I think they're original. I wouldn't be able to tell. I didn't change them myself. Like. Someone out there would know, but they always felt good.
Yeah.
And it was, relatively kind of unmolested.
Yeah.
No breaks or anything.
That all looks like...
I feel like these are a different animal from the bursts.
Oh yeah.
The 70s Les Paul is such a different sound and a different feel to the 50s or even the 60s. It's kind of like its own thing. It's like
sure.
it feels like more of an alt rock
Yeah.
guitar to me than it does like a blues.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's so this I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's like there's something about them, just the pickups, and maybe they don't sustain as much. It's probably got something to do with that two-piece body, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
You know, it's hard to say. No, there's a lot of different factors, but God, that one sounds great. God, that's great.
It's a good one.
Now I want one again.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man. Okay, love it. What's next?
Jerry Jones baritone.
Oh, gotta have it.
Gotta have it. Yeah, you know, these are just awesome. I didn't do any. I got a good deal on this used, and I was able to get the sitar with it as a package deal, which
two weirdos in one purchase.
Yeah.
Nice.
I had the sitar as part of my rig, and then I used it on one song that went to country radio, and I was like, this can't be a thing anymore. You know, I was like, I gotta retire this this gag, you know, this bit.
Yeah. It works once.
Yeah, it's cool. So that's down at my studio now. It hangs on the wall. It's a cool conversation piece.
Oh, I'm sure it'll come back into rotation eventually.
But you know, these were awesome. I know the story behind them, right? Was Jerry Jones. He kind of took the Dan Electro and refined it and turned it into a
more of an instrument, less of a toy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, these things are built so well. They always sound great. This one, they could probably use new strings, but I haven't changed these in like 3 years. But they sound like. Sometimes the dead thing's kind of cooler. Maybe,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's that thing.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's like the biggest sound in the world. A baritone through a tremolo, you know, with some verb.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Any situation where I can get away with just doing that and not doing like a second or third guitar part, it's like, that's really cool. If you can be like, hey, put this on the left and put the steel on the right, and let that just be like the thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
talk about space, man. Yeah, that's great.
Doesn't always work, but it's the idea is.
Oh yeah. Okay, I love it. Okay, and I think we have one final. Well, you get more on the rack, but one more for this video. Let's see.
Yeah, and this was another. This is another one that a Rob McNally inspired purchase. He has this exact same guitar, and then I found I found one for sale at Fanny's in East Nashville, and I was like, I gotta have it, and it's turned into one of my. Oh, it's in standard. It usually lives in like open D, because it's got the flat wounds with the 12s, which
cool.
I've heard is like that's the only way to have these things set up. You gotta have the flats, you gotta have the heavy gauge strings on it. But this thing is, I mean, it's more versatile than you would think. I mean, I use this for all sorts of stuff.
Silvertone, right?
It is a Silvertone. The logo's missing, the pick guard's missing, but
I kind of like it almost better like that, man. It looks
badass,
so space age, right?
Yeah, it's
like 60s space age.
Yeah, I believe it is 64, maybe. No, I think it might actually be a 1960.
God, look at these crazy rings. Oh, that's so great.
They remind me of those like Wandre guitars, those Italian.
Yeah.
Where they sort of kind of got into that sort of 60s Art Deco.
Oh yeah, the knobs, even that's
like a Frank Lloyd Wright looking kind of.
It is. Okay.
This is good, and this was another one where I got it before they jumped up in price. You know, I got it very reasonable, and now they're worth more. But you know. Yeah, you know, it just does that thing, or you know, with
Oh man, it's like Delta.
the fuzz pedal. It's
Great. So did you have to do anything to it, or?
not really. I think I just had. It may have had new frets. I think I had Wade do new frets on it just because they were small and low. I think I set it up myself for the 12s. I just filed the nut a little bit. This was one of those ones where it just came off of the wall like good. You know, it's like when you grab a guitar at a shop and it's just, you know that it's either perfect or you know it's got potential.
Did it have the heavy flat wounds on it when you got it?
No, it didn't. I think it just had like 10s, and I just sort of was like, I think I bought a pack of 12s with it when I got it, and I just got it home and just immediately like did the thing.
God, good to hear. That's great.
This thing rules. Yeah.
Wow, that's
it's a fun
great. Okay, I love it. All right, amazing guitars. Let's talk about what you're doing with amps, and then jump into this pedalboard business.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Hey, I'm John.
Chris.
And I'm Barry.
And this is the Rig Rundown team, and we're sponsored by
D'Addario.
Actually, I think it's pronounced D'Addario.
it's D'Addario, but no matter how you say it, we know it stands for quality.
So you've got a cabinet that we're recording right now, buried somewhere in back, and you've got all these heads here. Tell me what's going on.
So we got just a bunch of stuff, and it's all feeding into this switcher.
What's the switcher?
It's this Cajayan. It's a Spanish company. It's one that Tim Pierce did a shootout on, and he said that it's like the one that doesn't screw with your signal, and it's pretty user friendly. 8 heads, 4 cabs. There's a MIDI version of it that I have at home that you can do more stuff with, but this is just very basic. It's just 8 heads. I just keep 1 cab hooked up at all times. I'll switch manually if I need to go open back to close back, but usually it's, I usually just stay on a 212, and then I just got Bandmaster. It's 80 watts. Someone converted this to a Showman.
Wow.
They put a bigger transformer in it and an extra set of power tubes.
Wow.
And I got that in Guitar Center in Hollywood when I was on the road with Randy Houser. And I just walked in and it was like $600, Guitar Center Hollywood. I plugged it in. I was like, that sounds great. Bought it, threw it in the bus bay and brought it home. And it just ended up being like my favorite amp. That's my favorite amp I own.
Isn't that funny? I mean,
it's like
don't even, you could never really know what it is.
Yeah, it's like you find out some cool, wacky.
Yeah. Oh, somebody did the work for you. That's
yeah,
great.
just some weird mod that I would have never thought to do, but someone, I don't know, maybe a steel player, probably a rock player, maybe, who just wanted more volume or more.
Wanted to drown out a drummer.
More perceived volume or headroom or whatever, just added more tubes, and someone was inclined to do it for them.
And you're running pretty hot, like it.
Yeah, 6, anything between 4 and 7, you know, generally somewhere around 5 or 6, like. And it's just, honestly, I mean, the main reason I keep all of these amps is because the sound from studio to studio varies so much. It's the engineer, the mic choice, the preamp choice, the way that it's routed on the desk, the way that the cue system's set up. All of these are, I think, bigger variables than guitars and pickups and pedals and speakers and amps. Like I can go to the exact same rig and the same settings at a different studio the next day and it sounds entirely different. Like sometimes I can be like on 5 on the treble on this and it's too bright. Like it's like ice picky. You know, and sometimes if that's the case, I'm like, I'm not gonna like mess with the engineer settings. I'm not gonna say like, hey, can you change that? Because it's probably something else. It's like, there's probably something to do with the grounding in the building. It's something to do with just whatever console they're using, the way that they've got the routing set up, or
whatever it is, it's not in your control.
Yeah, or they're just favoring a bright guitar sound because they need that because that's what complements the singer, or they're trying to fit in a frequency on a record that might be more keys heavy.
Yeah.
So you got to free up more mid-range or something like. And in that instance, like I'll just be like, I'll go this first, and if it doesn't sound right straight away, I'll switch to something else, and I'll probably use that for like the rest of the day.
So what is next in the as you go down the line? What would you go to?
This would be next, which is just a modded plexi. I produced a record for this brilliant guitar player called John Radabaugh. He did an instrumental album. He wrote these brilliant arrangements, like real, you know, really like songwriter, but like guitar, all instrumental, beautiful melodies, and he can shred as well. Like, and I just kind of helped him put the whole thing together as far as just helping out with the Pro Tools and the engineering side of things. I didn't really do much production. I just kind of, you know, hit record and just gave some input on just layering some of the tones and stuff. And we've become great friends since then. He's a wonderful, wonderful person and great player. He had this amp that he used for the whole record that he was like, yeah, I found this thing. It's kind of my sound. It's got elements on it that are sort of Dumble-esque. It's got a Fender twin voicing in the back, but it's essentially a 100-watt Marshall Plexi. Wow. And I loved it so much. I was like, man, John, I was like, you wouldn't be offended if I found one of these and bought it, would you? I know it's kind of your thing. I'm not stealing your shit. Like I love it. I was like, this is, and he was like, man, no, go for it if you can find one. And again, I got on Reverb, got really lucky, found one with the matching cab, got it shipped here for a very, very reasonable price. Not anything close to what you would think for a boutique amp. You know, it wasn't anything insane.
Was it a used one or?
It was lightly used, I think, but it came in the box with the foam and everything. I doubt anyone had really played it much, but yeah, it's wonderful. And what I love about this is that you can basically, what I was saying before, if you get any of that ice picky high end, you can get rid of it completely, and it'll still speak. Okay. You know, it's like if you're there, and I have this on, that's my number 2 setting on this switcher, so I can, let me grab an actual,
yeah, a little something,
signal.
Less niche-y.
Yeah, exactly. God, I need to get a better guitar stand, this thing sucks. Let's go with this guy. But we probably can't hear it out here, but you probably will on the video, but you can get all of that. It's not bright like in the way that you would think with a Marshall. It's, you know, it just does a thing. It's got a second channel that's like really awesome. I'll just crank that way up.
Yeah, the second channel thing it's hard to find amp with 2 channels where I like both the channels.
Right.
Usually it's like one you're going to use and one that but God, I like both of them.
That's exactly it. Like, yeah, I feel like there's nothing lost from having that. It's just like, oh, there's just a bonus. Great sounding track. Well, it just sounds like a really good Marshall Plexi, you know?
Right.
I'd love to get an original one at some point, but I'm just like, man, they've got...
Don't really need it now.
Expensive.
Yo, God, they're crazy.
Yeah, they're like 10, 12, 15 grand for an original Plexi. I'm like, I missed the boat on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's cool.
So, okay, so if number 1 doesn't do it, if number 2 doesn't do it, what do you go to next?
Be the Bassman. And then sometimes in its place, we'll have, I'll switch it out with the matchless DC-30. This sometimes acts as like a sidecar rig too. Like if I've got 2 sessions in a day or 2 in a weekend and I need to be in 2 different places, I'll tell Larry, my wonderful cartage guy, he'll set up this little setup in one studio and then this one in another. Yeah. So this doubles up. But I usually, most times, I have both at the same time. I mean, you can make any record with these 2, a Bassman and a matchless, or a Bassman and a Marshall, or a Bassman and a Mesa. You know, it's just kind of different flavors. Like the matchless is super cool for that same reason, where it's like if you need something that's like if you're not cutting enough, and they're just like, man, it sounds muddy, and like you're just dialing everything up on the high end on the Fenders, and you just can't get it because it's not in that. It's got that like, what's that, like that EF86, whatever. It's like that one tube that does the super high, everything over like 16 hertz or whatever. That just, it's that matchless hiss that like people hate, you know, but it's like so usable and you know, just records so well. Like, but this is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this Bassman was one a buddy of mine had. I was subbing on a gig for him years ago, and I played it live because I just flew in with my guitar and pedal board, and I used his rig on a couple shows. And I was like, this is the best sounding Bassman ever. Sell it to me, and of course he didn't. And then 8 years later, he's like,
sure.
You want it? I remember you really liked this, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll take it.
It's interesting how you've got on the Bassman, the EQ on this one is totally different than your Bandmaster, you know? Right. Adding all that bass to this one, and I'm taking it all off on the Bandmaster.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
That's great.
It breaks up nice. It's got the thing like this. It's either this or this. Like one will be my favorite for the week or for the day. Yeah. And one will sometimes not sound quite right. I feel like they're just very, very similar. You know, like sure. They're really similar circuits, but just like one sometimes just has the thing in one studio on one day, like it's there. And then in another setting, it's like maybe one's not as favorable. Yeah. And I'll hook up to the matchless, you know, like that's not attached to the switcher right now, but that's like I said, that's the only one in there that's more utilitarian. Sure. As well as the classic JCM 800, which is just, that's there for, you know, if you just need that thing. Sure.
So do you have that hooked up to the switcher
That's hooked up to the switcher as well, and it wasn't turned on, so I'll let it warm up. But this is just, it's the vertical input, the 1981 or 82, I think. It's just the classic. I always loved how these sounded on metal records. Oh, sure. And I was like, I need something that's high gain as part of my rig. And yeah, if that's switched up, it should be this guy. and it's only 50 watts too, so it's not like
God, that's
obnoxious.
great. Okay, love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that covers amps.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's jump into all this madness.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you've got like, okay, over in your rack you got a couple little things too. Is it a?
Oh yeah, this is got a tape echo. This thing, I like it just for the preamp, and I generally don't use it, but it'll add. I like this thing when you can't really add, you can't hear it super well through the wall, but it makes for a way more mid-forward sound.
So you're not even using the delay. You're just using...
Yeah, when they stopped making the tapes for these and it chews them up, I'm just like, man, it's like, it would be lovely to be able to use that all the time, but it's not practical. I just don't feel like getting these tapes rewound all the time. It's a pain in the ass, and the Strymon stuff sounds just as good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but as far as just having a little bit of a different front end flavor to use, it's just been part of my rig for such a long time, and yeah, this one I'll use all the time, and I kind of patch this in more like a piece of outboard gear. These 501s are just amazing. You know, so it's like, obviously I keep it off when I'm not using it because it's going to chew up tapes like crazy, but it the chorus on these is amazing too. It's got that. But again, it gets used sparingly because it's, you know, you have to get the tapes rewound when they go bad, and just like, it's kind of jammed in there too. So it's like,
you couldn't move
it's like,
remove it if you wanted to. Welded in place.
I hate getting that thing serviced. It's not fun.
Okay, great to have. Okay, very cool. Okay, and then on the floor, you got everything.
Yeah, that was the plan.
So what do you use? What's your main sound, and what are you kind of going for? What do you find?
Man, I kind of look at it as being sort of in different quadrants, in the sense of like, this is my 80s world up here with my two choruses. This is fuzz world over here. This is Jack White fun indie rock noise.
Yeah, the Pog 3
world with the Pog 3, the Swollen Pickle, and the Bitquest. My favorite pedal of all time, by the way.
Really? Okay, I got it. Okay, let's.
It's just an awesome fuzz that does crazy awesome things. And then it's got like a delay in it.
I did not expect that.
It's just got all these like, the dude who made it, like, he just had leftover parts from like other pedals, and he threw it all into this.
So
and
what's it called?
Bitquest, and it's made by Dr. Scientist. It's a Canadian builder who's awesome, and and just was like, put it in a pedal, and he put it out. This was one of the very first ones, and then they were in production now because they kind of ended up being popular.
Wow.
I know a ton of people who bought them, but just the fuzz by itself is just really usable. It's like, it's got a little more tightness on the low end than a Big Muff. You know, it's like you can just rock a solo with it.
That's great. Okay, so the fuzz section.
Yeah, and then the great compressor here, Bondi Effects, Australian company.
Oh.
It's a killer compressor with a blend knob. But
It's called Squish.
Squish Az. It's like
Squish Az.
It's like Squish Az, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got another one.
Squish AF. Yeah. There we
Yeah,
go.
exactly. That would be the American version for sure.
Yeah.
That thing's awesome. This is like my Nashville section with the HX and the Lightspeed and the ODR1 and the King of Tone. I feel like everyone has this same combination of pedals.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not out of choice. I think it just genuinely is like pound for pound. I've tried so many other combos and I've tried to get away from this setup just because I like didn't want to have what everyone else had. But like when it really comes down to it, like these three are just, as far as like for utility purposes, like this is the best sounding like overdrives you can. And I'll be doing this all the time. Like I'm like, nope. I'm like, yep, nope. Like I'm just trying to find like what works. Like sometimes it's like that together, or like sometimes it's like this and this. Like it's not like oh, this is my boost, this is my lead pedal, this is my. It just kind of works with like whatever, and I'll play and I'll tweak amp settings and all that stuff. And
yeah, it really is like blending colors, you know.
That's
like,
exactly it. Yeah, and. I don't know if I'm just used to these sounds from hearing them on so many records, but
well, I mean now because of you're playing them on so many records,
right,
we're all hearing them on so many records. Yeah.
This thing's really underrated. These little blue Bohlinger pedals.
See,
Yeah,
Bohlinger.
it'll do like that Bohlinger ecstasy thing, but I never got one of those amp heads because it scared me. There's so many switches and stuff on it. Like it's
and they're really expensive.
Yeah, you know, it just does the heavy amp thing if you need it.
Sure. Okay, and on the H90, what is that control thing you've got? Is that like part of it?
Yeah, it's just an add-on made by a different company, and it does bank up and down effects. So I have it programmed to where it just basically I'm going up and down. I've had the same like 15 sounds on the Eventide for like probably 15 years now. I got one of the H9s kind of early, and it just became such a part of my sound. It started when I was out on the road, because I needed to be able to like put my set list in with delay tempos.
Sure.
You know, I'd just have like song 1, song 2, and everything would be synced up with tempo. And so I'd just be able to bank through after each song. Just I could program it, and I love I was playing with a lot of different artists, so I'd be able to have the artist set list in my phone, transfer it to the old H9, and everyone kind of figured that trick out. Like, but I ended up living with the sounds, and they just became such a part of like. A lot of it was me trying to recreate reverbs that were post-production things on records, where they'd have a like this one Thunderverb. I've had this. This was from a song called Thunder, that was a song by an artist that I played like 12, 13 years ago. And I just called it Thunderverb because I was trying to recreate the reverb on the lead part on the song. And it just lived as part of I use that all the time now, it's just part of the sound.
Well, so these are the actual settings from your old H9 that you've just downloaded onto this new, and the H90 is essentially two of them?
You can run multiple algorithms, which I'm not doing really yet. There's a couple new ones that I've made over the years where I was like, oh, it'd be really nice to have a chorus setting in between the verbs and the weird stuff. But, where I found this to be really useful was like the BPM based stuff, which has kind of become such a part of my sound. Like on records, I'll always get the tempo from the engineer. I'll find out where we're at. I'll be like, what's the tempo? They'll be like, okay, like 118. I'll put it in there. This is sending MIDI tempo to the line 6 at all times as well.
Oh, that's
so we got
so everything is in sync together. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So I could do like a quarter note delay, a dotted delay, and a rhythmic filter. It takes 5 seconds for me to pull that up. I'm not having to dial it in. I got like. stuff like that.
Oh, it's so cool. And to pull it up immediately.
Immediately, that's the trick. And then I've figured this out too. I found out a way to do BPM tremolo, and there's a setting in here where you can re-trigger it. So if you got a click track in your ear, you can basically, and you gotta kind of practice with this, and I kind of figured it out, like getting the downbeat, like
right on it.
so they don't have to send MIDI, and you don't need a cable, you don't need to edit it,
but to pull that off, it's almost like building a loop pedal, like
absolutely.
You gotta get it right on it.
Same exact like concept, but I'll cue, like, this is why I love having a board like this, because I'll cue up like a bunch of different stuff. Like I'll cue up like a trem sound that'll be like, okay, this is gonna be like my second verse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. And the tempo's already in, so anything that I do on here is gonna be already saved, set to that tempo. Like it's like, I guess they call it like a global clock. So I'll have a bunch of stuff like this. Like I'll do like an intro thing where I'll have like a filtered out like that's my intro, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we get to like big intro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's like already, it's like doing the job of like 2 or 3 guitar parts, like, and then get to the verse. So much of what I do is like, it all happens in real time, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I'm not like doing a lot of like, oh, hold on a minute, I'm gonna change my sound, let me punch in.
Yeah, or I'll do it in another pass or whatever.
Exactly.
Great.
Which is cool. It's like,
oh yeah, man. That makes it so much easier for everybody, you know?
yeah, on record dates, it's you got more time to be able to like dial stuff in, but I love being able to do this because it's just like, it'll inspire a lot more. I think it's sort of the closer you can get to like a finished song coming out of the speakers immediately, the more it's going to put the artist and
well, the whole band
and the band and everyone in that headspace of being able to feel like, okay, this is what this song is going to become. Even if it sounds terrible, even if the execution's bad, like even if the tuning's off or just, you're missing stuff or whatever, you can come back and repair that stuff. You know, it's like, that's what Pro Tools is for. You can go back in and punch, but like, if you can get through the end of the song and be like, okay, they've got something to chew on then. They can be like, hey, that tremolo thing you did in the second verse, like, that's not cool. Everything else was good. Or they might be like, hey, we love that stuff. Like, let's do more of that. You know, it's like you automatically, like, you're seeding these ideas. You're not having to be like, man, what can we do on that second verse? So it's like you've already given them 3 ideas. Because they might be like, hey, like that filter thing you did on the intro, like, let's do that in, let's do that, like, throughout. You know, like, let's you know, and sometimes I'll be like, okay, give me a 4-bar loop. And they'll just give me a click track and I'll just be like, you know, like... And I'll be like, you know, take that, fly that to verse 1, verse 2, bridge, and down chorus and outro. Or I might just be like, hey, just duplicate it. Just loop it through the whole song. Just give us something like, think of more of like a hip hop approach where it's more hypnotic and more repetitive, and like, and then you're helping build the track. Then it's like you're assisting the production process rather than just playing guitar. You know, it's like, I love that side of it. It's just so fun. It's like, that's like cracking a code when you kind of got something that's, especially a work tape or a demo where you got like, there's not a lot of ideas there. You just got a great song, you got good lyrics, and you got a good progression, and you're just like, how do we like do something cool with this? Like, you know, what if Andy Summers was, you know, playing a Drake song? Or like, you know, and you think like, what would that sound like? What would U2 sound like if you were to mix it with like a 90s country, you know, and then you're just like, okay, I got all that shit here, you know, it's like, I've got, okay, like that's when someone says words like that, that's like, you know, that's makes me so happy because I can be like, well, I'm immediately going towards this, and that's why I have all this stuff laid out, and I'm not relying too much on like menus. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like it's there. It's like that's a preset. Like that's a preset. You know, like I can easily switch to another bank here if I need to, and I've got a bunch of other stuff there. Like this is all linear. It's just I've got about 30 patches that get used for various things. You know, like yeah. I mean, there's some weirder stuff in here too, but
Well, and that whole approach that you're doing, that's what makes you such a great studio guy. Because all these great studio guys, when you're in a room with a bunch of musicians and all you see are like numbers, you know, like
Yeah.
you're just given numbers and there's no roadmap,
right.
and you got to figure out what's cool. To have all those, I mean, to come up with those great ideas, God, it's great. You use this so well.
Oh, thanks. It's always a journey, and I like finding new stuff. And I'm not very technologically proficient when it comes to really getting into these. I'm kind of. It's like you're probably the same way. It's like you know when you find something you just really vibe with. Like you just find like a pedal, you're just like okay. It's like there might only be 2 sounds on it that I really like, but you're like I love those 2 sounds, so it's going to go on my pedal board. Like I always keep this far. This is like my last point in the chain. That gets rotated. I'll switch it out. Like right now I got that Mobius in there. It's cool. I don't know if it's gonna stay there.
Yeah.
It's just I just needed some extra inspiration. Just so it's like I'm gonna find some new sounds, and there's some cool stuff in it. I haven't really gotten into it, and I'll switch it out. I got like a slicer pedal that I really like that goes there that does other stutter effects. I was using it a little too much a couple years ago, so I took it off because I was hearing stuff on like Spotify, and I was like, ah, shit, I'm doing the same gag on like every song.
Well, under the gun though, a great idea, pops up. You're just so grateful to have it.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I have a drawer full of all of that stuff that stays out there that I can. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to my buddy Robin from Norway. Robin Haverkamp is a guitar player from Norway. He's a buddy of mine. He stays with me whenever he comes into town, and he's like me, but like the Norwegian version. He plays on all the country and pop stuff out there, and super cool guy. He comes to town to hang out and write, and he stayed at my place for a couple weeks recently, and I was telling him, I was like, man, I need to redesign my board. I kind of like, I've got, XTS did the build. They kind of did the framework, and I was like, but I need to be able to fit this. I've got this is new, I want to be able to, I've got these new fuzzes and stuff. And he was like, well, I do this. He was like, this is what I do for people in Norway. I build pedal boards, because he's like, we don't have an XTS. Yeah. So I figured it out myself, and he put it all together, wired it for me, and he actually drove down to Muscle Shoals and brought it to my studio while I was down there on a weekend and surprised me. And
it's a good friend.
Yeah, what a cool guy. I mean, and he figured out a bunch of stuff. Like, this is really cool. He was like, he figured out that he was like, yeah, you don't have to have a volume pedal in your signal chain. He was like, you can do a volume block in this line 6 and have it assignable, so where it's basically an expression pedal that acts as volume, and then if you have other stuff you can assign it to. So like on this patch I have it as a wah,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's like if I need to be Slash for a minute, it's like Slash didn't use a volume pedal, so like,
yeah,
why? There's no need for it, It's just like you just have a solo, and you're just like, all right, like I'm ready to go, like. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great.
That's sort of my fun mission. There's some really amazing technical minds in this town, and we have guitar player buddies who have kind of cracked these things and figured out like all this insane stuff that you can do when you get them communicating with MIDI, and you can control like delay feedback and volume at the same time. They do like pedal steel bends and stuff like. So there's a long list of stuff like that I've got to figure out. That's just rainy day fun activities. You know, if I'm not busy, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to learn how to like program a whammy and a delay, just to have it like.
God, yeah. It's so impressive, man. Everything. Well, I mean, you're such a great player, and all this,
you,
just the sounds and the ideas.
That's super cool.
It's really inspiring. Well, Sol, thanks, man. This has been great hanging out.
I really appreciate it. Likewise.
Congrats on all the success, man.
Thanks.
And we'll circle back in a few years and see how this whole madness changes. as it inevitably does.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, y'all, till next time.
Thank